The average score by a handicapped golfer is 96, and the percentage of those players that will ever break 90 is less than 21. But in my experience, once you figure out how to break 90, you'll never look back. And it really just comes down to 7 simple strategies, none of which require any swing changes. I'm going to put all of those 7 strategies into play over the next 9 holes. And for those 9 holes, to keep it as realistic as possible, I'm going to play like I'm a 20 handicap golfer. So that means no tee shots over 200 yards, no approach shots over 165 yards. For these 9 holes, I'm that 20 handicap golfer, and my goal is to do 8 over or better. Rule number 1 is to use your shots. And the average 15 handicap golfer is going to hit less than 1 in 4 greens in regulation. So you really don't need to. If your goal is to break 90, you can have something like 17 bogeys across the round. That changes the way you look at the hole. So that makes a bogey your new par. And using those shots comes into play right from the tee and having a plan for how you're going to play the hole. So this is a 311 par 4. It doglegs a little bit up the hill to the right. You could look at it as gettable. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look and I'm going to see there's a small stream not too far in front of me, and then there's a big pocket of space out there on the left-hand side. That's right at my distance for a 6-iron. So that's all I'm hitting off this first tee. 6-iron into that space. I'm happy to play the hole as a 3-shotter if that's the way it works out, and we'll go from there. Safely into that pocket of space, ball teed up, nice easy swing, and we're away for the first shot of the day. So I'm very happy with the tee shot. I found that big nice space that I was talking about. From here, it's leaving me 134 yards to the front of the green, 154 yards to the center of the green. But again, as I look at the hole, there's a bunker on the right. There's a very narrow route into this green, and there's a drop off on the left. The pin looks to be at the front as well, so it'll be accessible. So really, again, I'm not worried about the green from here. All I've done is I've pulled a 9-iron. I'm just going to try and knock it along in the fairway. I'm going to try and air on the left-hand side and open up my shot for an easy 3rd into the green. So I actually misjudged where the pin was. The pin's at the back of the green, not the front, but that's fine. We're in a good spot here. And this brings us on to the second rule, and that's to simplify chipping. The big issue here is that you want to take disasters out of play. And the disasters are really hitting the thin through the green, hitting the fat that stays near where the ball is to start with. So get rid of those. There's different ways that you can do it. Some people might look at putting through the fringe. Others might talk about the toe down with the longer iron to make it easier. Or you can just go and get something as simple as one of these chippers from Pink, which is basically, you're going to use your putting stroke. It's got some loft on the club head. It's going to pop it up, and then it's going to run it out more like a putt. Really doesn't matter here, but your goal is just to take the disasters out of play. Getting up and down is a luxury anyway. We want to get it up there somewhere safe around the pin. So I'm happy with that wedge in. Got it on the green and got myself a putt, but really that brings me on to the 3rd rule, and that's getting it within 3 feet. Your average 15 handicap golfer is going to make 93% of 3-foot putts, 59% from within 6 foot, and only 22% from 10 feet. They also 3-putt every 9.7 holes, so every 10 holes going to have a 3-putt, and that's what we want to start looking to avoid, and we do that by getting our first putt within 3 feet. At 3 feet, we've drastically increased our chances of making this putt and getting that opening bogey that we really want. So now we're on to a par 3. It's a mid-length one, so it's 180 yards to the center of the green, 168 to the front. But there's 2 really big menacing bunkers at the front of this green. They're my play here. I want to avoid those. I'm going to explain more when we get down there. But again, in the theory that I don't need to hit every green in regulation, I'm just taking an 8-iron I'm confident with it. I'm going to chip it down there, and from there we'll finish the hole. Not my best strike off the tee, but it didn't need to be, because like I said, my goal was to miss the two big bunkers. Why is that the case? Well, again, the average 15 handicap golfer, if they go into a bunker, they're getting up and down 18% of the time. In the grass next to that bunker, it goes up to 34% of the time. So although you're not going to be getting up and down that frequently, you are almost 20% more likely to get up and down if you're on the grass as opposed to the sand. So you've got to play away from them. And the best way to avoid a bunker is just to absolutely take it out of play. Leave yourself, if you have to, a little bit further away, because from here you've got the whole green to work with, and you can just bump it down and get it back onto play. So we left ourselves a good look at making the par, but in a safe position to make the hole easy. That's okay. No danger, we make the bogey, we move on. 12th is a 515 yard par 5. From here, there's not a lot of trouble off the tee. You definitely could just play an iron into position, but for this one, I am going to give my driving iron a go, which is today replicating the driver. So it's about a 200 yard club. We hit the fairway finder off the tee. All of that was fine, in a good position, but we've still got 330 odd yards to this green. So that's nothing that I'm worried about now. My simple play here is to look for that big spot on the right, chip it up to there effectively, and to do that, I've got the 7 iron. Again, nothing fancy, we're just going to play to our strengths. Good shot, chipped into play, but again, not trying to do anything fancy. The next rule of breaking 90 is to know your realistic distances. And the best way to do that is if you can get on a launch monitor or something like that at a driving range or at your home, whatever you've got available to you. And be realistic about them. Carry and total distances and know that they're going to change over time. So it is something that you want to track. I keep a little notepad in my bag which has my distances on it, just to help me on the course. Something as well that's going to help you is if you see me using the ShotScope products, the Pro ZR, the V5 watch, they really make it quick and simple when you're on the golf course to pick different distances to different parts of the hole. Example again, we're playing our way up this hole. We're still 180 yards from the green though. Goes uphill. I'm not going for this. I don't have the distance in this scenario. And I really want to avoid the trouble. And the trouble again is a big bunker short right of the green. So we're going to go 7 iron. We're going to aim right of the green where there's a big space, and it's going to leave me a good look back for a simple chip towards the pin. So there's a miss. We've pulled it left of our target, but we're still safe. We'll see what the chip looks like. It won't be as easy, but big thing, we're not in trouble. Like we said, that was a little bit of a miss. I was hoping to be on the other side of the fairway, but it brings me on to my next rule, and that's to not always jump for the sand wedge or the lob wedge in this situation. So I've only got about 40 yards to the pin itself, but we're uphill, it's soft, and there's a really big green there. The temptation for a lot of golfers I know is to get the sand wedge, the lob wedge, go for that hero shot that we see the tour players do. But again, it brings in that risk. It brings in the risk of just going under in it, leaving it here, maybe blading it, something like that. So give thought when you're at 50 yards, 60 yards, 90 yards, to not always going for the wedge. Go for something like, in this case, a pitching wedge, maybe a 9 iron, a 7 iron, depending on the situation. You can always play little knockdown shots, keep the wrists stiff, play them a little bit more like a long chip, even with something like a 7 or an 8 iron. Don't just grab the sand wedge. Yeah, we've done that. Because it's that pitching wedge instead of the lob wedge, it's just run out a bit more. So I'm still going to have a look at par. Hopefully you're starting to see how stress-free we're trying to make this process of breaking 90. I don't feel like I'm going to hit this green at 190, but just down the fairway the trees stop, so up near the green there's actually quite a lot of space. So if I could hit something 7-iron-ish to that 160 mark for myself, for you it could be a 7 wood, a 5 wood, it really doesn't matter. There's space in front of this green, so if I can get there, not on the green, we're going to have a nice look at the chip. And that's what I meant, we've cleared the trouble. There's a gap before where the trees stop short of the green, so although we've gone right, we've actually found space and we're going to have a look at the chip. Here I just want to keep emphasising that you don't have to go for the sand gun. So 9-iron. I know that if I can carry it just above this ridge into the fringe still, it's just going to bounce from there and run nicely on this green. And there's a bit of space still. The key is being on the green, taking the danger out of play, like we've talked about. Oh, and it went close. Obviously pace is something that you're going to have to work on the putting green, but sometimes when you take the hole out of play and make it about pace, it does become easier. Having plenty of space to work with, I'm going to take the longer club in the bag. Because there's plenty of room, I feel like to miss it at this, but I'm still not going to hit it hard, just going for fairways. But it brings me on to the next rule, and that's to remember what you're trying to score. So I've made 4 really comfortable bogeys to start this round, which is great, all I was trying to do. But you could get a bit antsy and start thinking that you need to put the foot down, try and make some pars, but you can't do that. You've got to just ride it out. Wait for them to come, keep giving yourself the chances because they will come. Equally, I could have got off to a much better start, made a birdie, made a par somewhere, and I see players get too aggressive. They start taking on shots that they shouldn't do. You've got to avoid it. Stick to the game plan. If your game plan is to break 90, that's what you do. "270 yards to the front of the green," but that's not what we're interested in here. We're interested in where's the safe play, where's going to give us a good next shot. There's a big fairway to hit here. There's not a lot of danger in anywhere that I'm aiming at the moment, so I can go towards the big tree on the left, knowing that that gives me plenty of space, plenty of options for my next shot. Don't want to make a big swing. It's sat up nicely on this lie, so it's going to pop up. Again, really, it's about simplifying the hole and moving it up there, keeping it in play. Which that should do for us. Those 2 easy shots have given us a really good look at this green. So according to all the distances, we're 135 from the center of the green. It's 150 to the back and a bit uphill. So we've actually got a chance to go for this one. But I can see the trouble is front right. There's a big bunker. Other than that, it looks fairly safe. So I'm going to take extra club. I'm going to pull the 8-iron. I'm going to put a really easy swing on it. Ideally, I'm going to be able to throw this up there somewhere around the green, hoping to hit the back of the green. But I know it's also fairly safe to do this. Hit it thin because I was trying to take too much off it, but we're on the green, nice and safe, no trouble. Okay, so we've not done anything fancy on this hole, but we've hit the green. We took the danger out of play, and now on the green having a look at birdie, we've got to pick our mark, stick to our process, and aim for good pace. Whoa. Pick our mark, stick to the same process. Good stroke. Make that par and keep going. So timing wise, things worked out pretty well on the last hole. We stayed patient and we got our first par on the board, which is awesome. We're now on to a tricky par 4. It's 340 yards, but there's big time trouble down both sides. You're blocked out if you go right, you're blocked out in a ditch if you go left. So we pulled the 6-iron, you could go 7-iron, and really, I would take a lot of distance off and just chip this down there. Position is obviously everything off this hole. That little swing has just helped me keep that ball in play. At 165 to the center of this green, it's stretching that distance that, you know, your average 20 handicapper is going to be comfortable to hit. So we're not worried about that. I can see there's a bunker on the right. I want to avoid that. There's a bushy tree on the left as well there. So really short again is the play here. It might run up. We're at 153 to the front, so we might get a nice bounce and run. But basically I'm aiming short left of the green. Gives me the look at the whole of the green from there, and it should make that pin quite accessible. So I'm pulling 8 iron, and again, it's really just a straightforward little one. Like it for line? Yep, short, little bit to the left. Not on the green, but definitely got a good look for the next. As we spoke about, we didn't do anything fancy on that second shot, but we took all of the trouble out of play, left ourselves where we wanted to, just short of the green. And from here, it lets me get this ping chipper out again. Just to take away that danger, just a putting stroke, let it do the work for me. Bump it up and run it out. So the shot with the chipper's just run off the back of the green, but realistically it's about 10 feet away. There was never any danger that I was going to be able to chunk it, never any danger I was going to be able to thin it. And from here it's left me a fairly comfortable putt back to the pin. Do it. Back-to-back pars. I gave myself the chance. This is an interesting hole because there's a lot of danger on it. So it's a short par 3. You've got to carry water. There's a bunker front left and a bunker up the right. So it's only 130 to the center, 150 to the back. There's not really a layup shot. Sometimes you actually just have to take on that shot, but you do keep in mind that long left is clearly the safest place to be. So I've gone up a club to the 8 iron, try and keep this in range of realistic for you. It's going to be an easy swing, and really that long left is the target here. As much as I can, I want to take the danger out of play. Looks like it's on the back of the green, which was the goal there because it was the safest spot. So we took on the shot that we had to take on as much as possible, took the danger out of it, took extra club, swung easy, aimed for the safest part, which was long left, and we've managed to find the green, which is great. Again, from here, don't want to get aggressive with this. I can see straight away it's downhill and turning. We've had a good couple of holes. We're in a good position on this hole. So let's just get it rolling down there. It was as quick as we thought, but not getting aggressive, not overreading it, just going with what we could see has put us in a good spot again. Another par, and they are starting to feel like those birdies. So we're on the 17th tee, and we are in a great position because we've made those 3 pars back to back. But we've tried to do everything that we talked about throughout the round. So we've used our shots well, we've avoided bunkers, we've been careful on the greens, we've simplified chipping, kept a focus on the fact that our target here is to break 90, nothing crazy. And we're doing all of those things, including knowing our distances, has given us a chance to just plot our way around here, take the danger out and give ourselves looks. And that's going to be no different because the 17th hole here is a long 185 yard par 3, bunkers all the way around the green. So all of the trouble is up there at the green. So we want no part in it. I can see it's 170 to the front. So all I'm going to do is pull a 7 iron. I want to stay way short of the trouble. I want to give myself a very simple shot into the green for the second, use those shots and keep on track to our target to break 90. Super simple 7 iron into the biggest area of space short of the green. We don't want to do anything other than that. Job done. So we did what we wanted to off the tee. We took all of the trouble out of play, picked a spot, and we found it. So we've left ourselves this nice look into the green. And although we're 30 odd yards away still, The pin is a real sucker pin because it's right at the front of the green with this soft area in front of it. But again, going back to everything else we do, we're not going to play a sand wedge here. We're not going to get fancy for this pin. We're already in a good position in this round. So now we just need to keep using those shots that we've got. I've gone with a 9-iron. Less chance of me blading it, less chance of me fatting it. And I'm going to bump it towards the front of the green, knowing that it will slow down in the fringe. But really, I've got all that space behind the pin. I don't need this one to be especially close. I just want it to be on the green so that I've got a good look for my next shot. There we go, we get it running through the fringe, it slows it down, we've got it past the hole, so we're going to have a look at a par. But to be honest, even if that had gone another 10 feet past, it would have been totally fine because it would have still given me a nice safe look at the 2-putt for the 4. A very hassle-free 4 on a quite dangerous hole. 375 yards, really narrow tee shot here on the last hole. All of the trouble on this hole is if you go left or right. So again, I'm going for the 6-iron, but I'm going for the 6-iron for that shot that is going to be an easy swing, might be in the 160-70 yard range. Something comfortable, staying away from getting aggressive, picking a spot down there that we want to aim at. Easy swing, but committed to the swing still. And hey, if this video has helped you or you enjoyed it, it'd be great if you consider subscribing. We'll see you again soon. We found that tricky fairway with the tee shot, just playing that easy 6-iron. And again, we've left ourselves a fair distance back, absolutely fine, 185 to the center of the green. But it's difficult to pick the trouble on this one. So there's some big undulations around the green and it looks really narrow. I can tell there's a bunker on the right and I'm not sure how dangerous it is on the left. So although there's a club there that could get fairly close to this green, we're not doing it and we're going to leave ourselves way back. I'm actually pulling a 9-iron here. I'm just going for the safest spot that I can pick, which is the big area of fairway, short left. I'm going to be comfortably short of the green, but hopefully from there it's going to leave me an easy shot to find some part of the green with the 3rd. And we've done that, we've just thrown it down to the biggest safe area that we can spot, and hopefully that gives us a good chip. As planned, we're a long way back, but totally safe. We have still got 75 yards to the green though, and it's raised, but this is the situation where I was talking about earlier, where you might play, say, a pitching wedge, a 9-iron, something like that, instead of just going for that sand wedge or the lob wedge where you're going to have to hit a big swing on it, because that brings in more danger around the strike. So I'm going up to a pitching wedge so that I know I can put a fairly small swing on it, focus on the strike, focus on the center of the green, and giving myself a putt for the next shot. And that's what we've done. 6-iron, 9-iron pitching wedge. We've taken as much danger out of a difficult closing hole as we can. Got it onto the center of the green, and from here it's a little bit uphill, probably go right to left. Pace is the key. A little bit too cautious, but again, almost into that 3 feet range, so it's about the point where we know we've got a good shot at making it. Bogey to finish. We're really well on track for that break in 90 if we were to run onto the next 9. So I hope this helps. I hope you see you soon.